Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hit the Apex. I'm Charlie, and today we have another live stream. This time we are watching a watch along we're not watching a watch along, but we're watching FP2 in this watch along. If you are new around here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Dugout Daily, the football channel, Hit the Apex, the F1 channel, and at MCFC Hibs on Twitter. Cars will be out on track in a minute or so. So FP2 is underway. Round 14 of the 2022 season comes to Spa in Belgium. Carlos Sainz topped a disrupted open session for Ferrari. Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon, and Kevin Magnussen all lost track time due to reliability issues. There are a whole raft of grid drops coming for Sunday's race, including the title rivals. So we'll go through them in a minute. Well, let's start with the weather then. It's still grey, overcast, and gloomy out there, and the track is still slightly wet in places, although not as bad as it was towards the end of FP1. The support races have been running, and that has dried up the racing line considerably. The drivers will be keen to get going after disruption in FP1 led to some misrunning. Kevin Magnussen stopped his Haas out on track, which caused red flags, while the late rain didn't help matters either. But the good news is, while there weren't too many headlines from FP1, there has been enough off-track news to last a lifetime since F1 last raced. Today's opening gambit was all about Audi, who are set to enter the sport in 2026 as an engine supplier. The other breaking news from earlier on is that Alfa Romeo are set to part ways with Sauber as title sponsors at the end of their current contract, which runs to the end of the 2023 season. Still not enough. How about the fact that there have been some track changes here with runoff areas extended and more gravel traps? the new technical directive regarding porpoises is also now in effect, which could well shake up the pecking order. And if that wasn't all enough, Mercedes are running a special heritage livery to celebrate 55 years of AMG. There are lots of upgrades parts being bolted on, and a whole host of drivers have a lot to prove to grab a seat on the grid next year, with silly season being even sillier than normal this summer. Daniel Ricciardo is the latest to get involved after announcing that he and McLaren are parting ways. Where's that just gone? At the end of the year, it wasn't necessarily unexpected, but the pertinent issue is where will he go? There are potential seats at Haas, Williams, and Alpine still up for grabs. The risk of rain for second practice is 40%. Finally, and as if that wasn't enough to chew over, there are a whole raft of power unit component penalties in the work for this weekend. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are two of a handful of drivers set to start from the back of the grid on Sunday. So the green light goes and FP2 gets underway. Slick tyres on that dry looking racing line are the way to go, with a mixture of hard and medium tyres on show already. That is until Schumacher heads out, the German, the first to bolt on the softs. Hello Jack in the chat, hope you're well, mate. I don't know what's just happened, give me a moment. I'm all good, mate. Here is Lance Stroll on the radio at the start of FP2.
So Sebastian will be pushing on a hard tyre on the outlap, Lance.
Back to those drivers who are taking grid drops here, and there are plenty of them. Norris, Ocon and Bottas from the midfield, Schumacher as well, and then Leclerc and Verstappen, with them mostly set for back of the grid starts. It will all come down to qualifying position to decide who starts where. Sainz has already been on the radio to say parts of the track are more damp than expected. He finished on top in FP1 thanks to a very tidy lap in what was looking a very quick Ferrari. But this session should give us a read on longer run pace and who might have the edge come race day. Here is Sergio Perez on the radio.
Failure wieder on the damp side.
A little bit on the damp side, he says. No sign of Norris yet, but everyone else has already been out, at least on an installation lap. Leclerc has had the first moment, locking up into turn 5 on his used medium tyres. Here's Lance Stroll on the radio again.
Should I push next lap or go slow again?
Yeah, we're good to push next lap if you can cool the tyres down, try and maintain the position.
Verstappen's lap on the mediums is enough for P1 with a 1 minute 47.699 second. It's worth reiterating how long this lap is, especially for qualifying. Lock up on your outlap and it takes a fair amount of time to make it back to the pits for a new set of tyres and then complete another outlap. Mistakes here are punished. Sainz has just skated wide at turn 13 and kicked up some gravel in his wake. A little bit of rallying smiles the Spaniard on the radio, which elicits a dry response from his engineer. Here is Verstappen on the radio again.
My TRF is stuck in the rear suspension. Trying to get it out.
Okay, understood.
Back to the action, and it's still Verstappen from Sainz and Leclerc. And it's still Verstappen from Sainz and Leclerc. Those three are all on the medium tyres, while Ricciardo, the other driver, joining Schumacher on the softs. And FP2 underway at the Belgian Grand Prix. 19 degrees and cloudy skies, so important to get some laps in now just in case it rains. Most drivers on the mediums, but some hard and soft tyres on track as well. Speaking of the weather, and those damp parts on the track have dried up now that plenty of cars are running, but the clouds overhead still look ominous. Sainz is having a busy session as he locks up heading into turn 5, the same corner where his teammate flat spotted his tyres. Despite the length of this track, there's already a traffic jam brewing as Russell comes up behind the Alpha pair and only manages to clear Bottas. Magnussen is also squabbling with that lot before they sort themselves out and create some room. Here's George Russell on the radio.
Oh, I just can't get any temp from the tyres.
Russell struggling to get temperature in those tyres. Hamilton is the latest to lock up with tyre temperature at a premium out there. He lies down in P10 from these early efforts, but what an opportunity this weekend is for Mercedes with Leclerc and Verstappen stuck starting down the back. Could a win even be on the cards? The three drivers who sat out a chunk of FP1 are all well underway incidentally. Bottas has 8 laps to his name with Ocon and Magnussen on a similar number. They will be playing catch-up as they try and work through their respective programs to get those setups. Perfected for qualifying. I'll be back in a moment. Apologies, I'm back. Free drop, we said that. Back to the action, and it is as you were at the front with Red Bull and Ferrari ahead of the rest. Tsunoda is currently in P5, the Japanese driver really going from strength to strength this season. As for his teammate Gasly, sat out FP1 for Liam Lawson, but he's out and lapping on the medium tyre. Leclerc isn't too happy, as he is wheeled back into the Ferrari garage. He asked for his seat to be changed in FP1, and now he's complaining about strange noises in his cockpit. While the Monegasque isn't entirely happy, he has been released back out on some soft tyres. Verstappen is also out on the red mark tyre, as is Sainz, Russell and Bottas. Time for some flying laps. Haas are in 15th and 17th at the moment. Russell is the first to fully open his quick lap. He roars around the famous track, but Mercedes no longer porpoising anywhere near as badly as it did earlier in the season. He crosses the line to go third, a second off the pace. Here is Vettel on the radio.
So fronts are there, especially the front left. Rears are also looking okay.
There is always some sandbagging in practice, but even so, the Red Bull looks so much more rapid by comparison to the Mercedes. Verstappen's lap is enough to extend his lead up front, and he now sits 1.1 clear of Sainz as Albon slots into P3. But the leaderboard is changing rapidly as Leclerc now slots into second, nearly 9/10 off his championship rival. Leclerc really isn't looking as happy and confident in the car as he'd done at points this season. It looks like he has a quick car, but what is Verstappen going to be able to manage from the back of the grid on Sunday? Here's Leclerc on the radio.
So at the moment you are P2, P1 is Verstappen, 45.5 for Verstappen.
Wow. Okay. 45.5 is quick.
Into the second half of the session, and Norris has slotted into third at a track where he came close to a famous qualifying performance last year. Stroll is an impressive fourth as the Canadian asks if rain is coming, as he can see a few drops out there. This place does have its own microclimate, not to mention the length of the track often means that one part is raining when another part is dry. For now, it looks like just a few drops and nothing more. Everyone has been out and set a lap time on the soft tyre except Perez. He remains in the pits and has completed just 7 laps. Norris and Stroll nearly managed to tangle as the McLaren man attempted to get ahead before peeling into the pit lane. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. We're back to green quickly. I wonder what that was for. Hunter Steiner has said it's damp and cool, but our lack of top speed on the straights is an issue. On the high-speed tracks, we always struggle this year. There's nothing left we can take off. Pierre Gasly on the radio has said this.
And let's go offset 0, shape 3 for more migration. And we try to focus on the steering inputs to reduce the front under rotation.
I'm going to play that again, sorry, we got disrupted.
And let's go offset 0, shape 3 for more migration. And we try to focus on the steering inputs to reduce the front under rotation.
It was an AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly going into the gravel track. Perez is finally out on the soft tyre with 20 minutes to go. He's out of sequence with the rest and might encounter some traffic as a result. Meanwhile, Gasly has been off and wiped through the gravel trap at turn 8. He just about manages to bump his way back to the track. Here is Gasly on the radio.
Not sure what happened, but I completely lost the rear.
Really lost the rear, according to Pierre Gasly. Russell is about to cross the line and he's 6 seconds slower than Max Verstappen. There are more variables than usual here this weekend, which should make things interesting. As well as new upgrade parts, there is new technical directive, which means the floor will be under closer scrutiny than it has been. There are drivers fighting for their careers and drivers who know they are leaving and might be less keen to play the team game. And there is the weather. It's just started raining and there are scattered showers around tomorrow too. While as it stands, race day should be dry. Famous last words. Perez slots in P10 on his opening run on the soft tyre, with the weather potentially scuppering the Mexican hit there. It was a hydraulic leak that kept him in the garage and cost him some time, which he will hope all is fixed and not going to turn into a recurring issue this weekend, especially with his teammates starting down from the back. He's another driver with a great chance of a win on Sunday. Lewis Hamilton has just took the runoff area. And Carlos Sainz has just dipped a toe in the gravel once again. Plenty of drivers have opted to complete their longer runs on the softs simply because they'll offer more grip in these tricky conditions, and right on cue the rain intensifies. So we've got around 10 minutes left of FP2. Sainz has been wide at turn 9 and Hamilton also slides as he comes up the hill. Alonso looks like he had a moment somewhere as he's moving slowly off the racing line. Tough conditions out there with just over 10 minutes to go. Here is Pierre Gasly on the radio again.
And still the same situation in Eau Rouge on the turn 5, a little bit of drizzle there.
Lando Norris has also gone off into the runoff area. It looks like the driver's starting to slow and drive slightly more gingerly, especially through Eau Rouge. The onboard replays are filtering in, showing Norris run wide at turn 5, as he confirms on the radio that the rain is heavier in that section of the track. Oh, and there's a Haas in the gravel. Mick Schumacher, I think that is. Yeah, it is. He's back on track. But the Haas of Mick Schumacher just dipped into the gravel. Mercedes have called Hamilton back to the pits. They aren't interested in risking a crash at this stage of the day. Leclerc and Norris remain out there, though, as Schumacher skates off through the gravel at turn 7. And Alex Albon has also just gone through the runoff area. Albon Alonso running wide is a frequent occurrence now. Super hard to recognise where the wet patches are is Schumacher's assessment as the German peels back into the pit lane. Not long left of this session. Here is Norris on the radio. Sorry, we missed this. And that means everyone is back in the pit lane for now. No one fancying taking any risk, given this is just practice, which leaves Verstappen top by a decent margin as it stands. If he carries that sort of advantage into the race, he'll fancy chances of a swift charge from the back towards the front. Here is Norris on the radio.
The back half of the track is fine. This first sector is getting worse. For such a high speed sector, so it's so easy to do something wrong. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well, this is interesting. Out comes Vettel on the full wet weather tyre. It looks like intermediate conditions, but perhaps Vettel is just data gathering at the moment. But he is now back in the pits with 2 minutes to go. That was Lance Stroll, actually, on the full wets. So we're about a minute away from the end of this session. And the Mercedes is going out. Mercedes of George Russell. The Alpine of Fernando Alonso. A Haas. Here's Leclerc on the radio.
If I have time, can I go to toilet, or do you want to go again straight away?
Leclerc just wants to go to the toilet. Simple as that. Oh, and there's a pile up here. Russell. So the checkered flag is out. There are plenty of drivers heading out in the final minute, and this is so they can do a practice start. Stroll is now on the wets, a few are on the inters, but most are on the slicks and tiptoeing their way to the start line. So another wet dry session as the weather continues to play a part in proceedings here. Verstappen looked comfortably fastest in the dry though, winding up nearly 9/10 of a second clear of Leclerc, with Norris in third. So we'll go through the full leaderboard in practice 2 in a moment. Practice start infringement, a pit exit incident involving Verstappen noted. What is he doing? There were plenty of cars jostling down the pit lane in order to get out in time to take the checkered flag, and then be able to complete their practice start. And somewhere in that melee, the stewards have noticed something amiss with Verstappen's actions. I'm not sure what's happened there with Verstappen, to be honest. So the replays show that the Dutchman seemed to complete a practice start on the pit exit to the right. As per the regulations, we'll follow that one up post-session. So that is it for practice 2. The FP2 classification then. Verstappen went quickest, followed by Leclerc, Norris and Stroll in 3rd and 4th respectively. Sainz, Hamilton, Alonso, Russell are 5th to 8th, Ricciardo 9th, and then Perez in 10th with Albon, the Red Bull Junior, of course, in 11th. The rookie Alex Albon the rookie Guan Yu Zhou, in 12th. And then the 2 Alpha Tauris of Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly in 13th and 14th. The retiring Vettel at the end of the season in 15th. Esteban Ocon in the Alpine in 16th. Magnussen, Bottas, Latifi and Schumacher close out the standings. So that is it for this stream. Everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter as well at MCFC Hibs if you are new around here. Dugout Daily, the football channel. Hit the Apex, the F1 channel. And at MCFC Hibs on Twitter. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. And we'll speak to you all soon. Take care and goodbye for now.